The state of social protection in Tanzania is doing fine, Tanzania is known for its policies of provision of social services to its citizens since the independence. So the social protection aspect or sector was actually active in Tanzania, though many times the stakeholders don't understand the really meaning or the definition of social protection. But as a government, we have been doing social protection since independence until now. We had a problem of defining social protection, but since 1970s, the government has been providing social services free of charge. For example, we had free education, free health care, and so forth. Though later on, because of some economic crisis and so forth, we had to adapt cost-sharing policies. So, as you know, social protection is a multi-sectoral aspect, and now, currently, there have been a cry of social protection, how to protect the people from some risk or whatever. But we have come to discover that actually the social protection is not only a social security or is not only about those vulnerable, but it encompasses a lot of issues from education, agriculture, health, water, and so forth. So recently, the government decided to formulate a framework, a social protection framework, a national social protection framework, where it integrated all the policies and all the aspects of social protection in the country. And this framework is in its finalization stage. As you know, provision of social services or social protection required the government to have enough funds, enough resources. So the challenge has been on resources. For example, currently we are implementing the cash transfer programs. It needs money to enable all the poor households that have been identified to get the necessary amount of money that the government has decided to transfer to the poor. So it needs resources. Of course, currently we are getting some support from donors, but as we as government, we need to have our own source of funding so that the program should be sustainable. So that's the main challenge. We used to have a social security policy, but also we have other policies that are dealing with social protection. So now we are integrating all aspects of social protection, and the government decided now to review the social security policy so that now it will have a social protection policy. In doing so, we have a good practice that bringing together all stakeholders and to discuss, because we came to this realization because of the integrating of bringing together the stakeholders. Now in Tanzania, we have in our government structure, the Prime Minister is a coordinator. The Prime Minister's office is a coordinator. So is able to bring all the stakeholders, all the ministries, all the other stakeholders, non-governmental development partners together to discuss. And this is the strength we have, that whenever this office call a meeting of stakeholders, they will come and they will discuss. So this can be a good lesson to learn by other countries, because we need the stakeholders in order to implement social protection in a good way. And in Tanzania, really, our government structure is good. Not only that, but we have also structures down to the ground, to the village level, where we have government structures that necessitate the implementation of government directives. So when the Prime Minister issues directives, it is possible that the directives will reach down to the village level and be implemented. These are good lessons which other countries can also learn. In our social protection framework, we dealt on the life cycle risk, whereby there are risks since from childhood until someone is an older person. So the governments of our countries should look their population in all age structure, from childhood to the old age. So, for example, many can provide services to the under 5 children or the pregnant women, but sometimes they can forget about the elderly, which they have worked for the country and now they are retired. So that's why now it comes, the issue of a pension to the elderly comes in. Okay, this in Tanzania we are planning also to implement this, and I think other countries also, especially in Africa, can learn this, that the life cycle aspect of social protection should be looked at in order to make sure that social protection is integrated and it reaches all the population as it is required.